Have you ever wanted to be a host on an ACA show or be the one calling the shots behind the scenes? Are you in Austin, Texas, or at least Austin adjacent? Well, on Saturday, February 25th, make your way down to the Free Thought Library because we'll be holding open auditions for show hosts and orientations for prospective crew members. For those wanting to be hosts, you'll be able to sit in the studio where our shows are broadcast and we'll put you through your paces to see if you can be one of the new personalities of the ACA. For future crew members, you'll get hands-on experience using the equipment used for broadcast and will help us record the host auditions. If you've ever dreamed of being part of the ACA productions, then this is your chance to show us what you've got. This event is free. For more information and registration, visit tiny.cc/ACA auditions.
Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen. Today is Sunday, February 12th, 2023. I'm your host, Student Dr. Ben, and with me today is my special guest, Blatant Blatheist. How are you doing today?
Pretty damn good.
Anything exciting coming up for you in the next week?
Nothing really. The big sports match is happening, but yeah, that's about it.
That is right. There is a certain sports match on today, and I know it's later today, but I appreciate everybody who's here hanging out with us in the side chat and for Blatant Blatheist to be on live with me today. I also really love that brain in the background. I know you didn't specifically choose that for me, but I appreciate it. Talk Heathen is a live call-in show, and we have lots of open lines, and today we're taking your calls on what you believe and why. So if you are a theist and want to call in and convince two people here why we should believe in God or why we shouldn't believe in God, we're here to take your calls. Or if you have some other belief that you want to talk about, like if you believe in aliens, or if you believe that satanic performances should not be in public display, let us know what you think. I'm curious about that particular discussion. So make sure you get your calls in early because the lines fill up kind of quick. And you can do that by calling in at 512-991-9242, or you can go to your computer and in your browser at tiny.cc/callth. Talk Heathen is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And if you like what you see here, if you enjoy the show today, there are a few different ways that you can support Talk Heathen and the ACA. So first of all, you can support us on Patreon at tiny.cc/PatreonTH. And every episode, we read the top 5 patrons of the week. So if you want to be one of these top 5, be sure to head over to Patreon and get your name on that list. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Enable notifications and comment below and be active in the side chat. All of these are free ways that you can help out, boost the algorithm, and help us get our voices out to more and more people. You can also become a channel member. You can click the join button below the video, and with that, you'll get custom chat emotes, such as the one I love to point out where I'm face palming. So you can spam my face palm in the side chat with your least favorite call if you'd like to, and you can help perpetuate the mission of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Community of Austin. And now, something new is you can send a super chat with a question or a comment, and that will be read out live on air during the show. And in fact, we have one right now from Greg Markowski. Says, thanks for the show. Thank you, Greg, for your super chat. And that is an example of what you get if you super chat the show. So we will be reading those throughout today's show. So make sure you get those in. And with that being said, we have some callers on the line. Are you ready to take some calls, Blatant Blatheist?
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump right in. Let's talk to Ethan from Tennessee. Ethan, you are live on Talk Heathen. It sounds like you want to talk about a right-wing society is better than a left-leaning atheist one. I'm curious what you mean by this.
Yeah, that's correct. Just basically what I said, just a conservative Christian-based society, because that's what our country was founded on, would just be in better moral standing than it is now, or than it would be if it went further towards the left.
So what values are specifically conservative and or Christian that are better than what the left has?
Sure, yeah. First of all, they promote the nuclear family, which has like been a failing industry, which it is an industry. It's been a failing industry ever since the late 60s, early 70s, pretty much the Vietnam War era.
So what determines...
There's been a steady decline in that.
What determines success of a family? What specific criteria would you use to say this family is better than this other family? I want to solidify some definitions before really engaging in this, because I think we might be on different pages here because better is kind of a nebulous word, right? So I want to make sure that when we say better, what do we mean by better? What's the nebulous word? Nebulous just means there's no concrete definition. Like if I were to say, I've actually had this debate with people that corn tortillas are better than flour tortillas. Like it's a matter of opinion what better means.
That's objectively true. That is objectively true.
Yeah. So the point is when we use a phrase like better, we need to know what specifically we mean. Like, because if you mean better for street tacos, corn tortillas, many people would say corn is better for street tacos due to the texture and the flavor profile. Whereas flour tortillas might be better for burritos due to the size and less likely to crumble. So I can more clearly define my terms, and then maybe we can get somewhere in the conversation. So when you say a nuclear family is better, in what ways specifically make it better, and what makes it successful as a family?
Okay, so first of all, I had to disagree with your tortilla analogy, because where better in that scenario can relate to an opinion, a nuclear family, which nuclear family has its own definition. A nuclear family,
okay, but listen,
in my example, better fits through statistics.
But what do you mean by better? What do you mean?
What's the objective? Like, what makes it better?
It's backed up by statistics, and what makes it better?
What specifically is backed up by statistics?
The nuclear family, like I said, has been in decline, and since it's been in decline, like just moral values been in decline.
Hold on, because we're asking something specific here. Like, what is the thing that a nuclear family does better than the opposite? What is the outcome? What's the better outcome of these two different families?
Sure. The better outcome is a better outcome for both a son or a daughter. With a mother and a father there, they can both learn their roles in life. Not to say that won't be different, but they can learn their natural roles in life through a nuclear family.
Hold on. So your definition of better is that you need a mother and a father, both present, so that the kids can learn gender roles. Are you saying that gender roles determine the betterness of a family structure?
No, but learning the gender roles do.
Why do we need to learn gender roles? Do you think that society needs to be based on gender roles?
It's been around for thousands of years. It's been around for thousands of years before us, and
fire's been around for longer than that. I don't want my house to be on fire though. It's been around for a while, but doesn't mean it improves the situation.
This is such a bad analogy. It's not. It's a bad analogy compared to human relations. Fire and human relations.
Do you think
about equal as
racism has been around?
Racism
has been around for a while. Sexism has been around for a while. The patriarchy has been around for a while. All these things have existed. That doesn't make them good. Is that a better analogy?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Way better. But
okay. I was only saying fire because it seems absurd.
Sin has existed for a long time. So. Sin has existed for a long time, like thieves, rapes, murders. That's all existed for a long time. I'm not saying that inherently makes it good.
Right. Okay. So go back to your argument.
This existed for a long time, therefore it works. It works.
Ethan, no, hold on. Ethan, be quiet. So you're contradicting yourself here. So I asked you, what made the nuclear family better than any alternatives? And you had said that kids learn their gender roles. And so then I asked, why do we need to learn gender roles? Or why does society need to be based on gender roles? And you said, because it's been around for a long time. And now you've dialed back and said, well, just because it's been around for a long time doesn't mean that it's correct. So I think you just contradicted yourself. And so that can't be the reason.
You didn't understand my point in full because you interrupted me.
No, do you know why I'm interrupting your point? Because Ethan, I keep interrupting because you're not processing the arguments as you say them. I don't know if you know how kind of silly the argument sounds right away. And even already from the get-go, failing to define certain terms and just assuming that something is better because it's been around for a long time, or assuming that we know what criteria makes something better. We're trying to nail down exactly what the argument is. And this is a tactic I don't know if you're aware of, but you've been kind of vague. And I wonder if you're doing that to try to not have to back up your point.
No, I'm backing up my point. You're just not hearing me. And you're not choosing to. You're asking me to define terms
back it up. Why do we need gender roles?
You're asking me to define terms that already exist. Okay. So about the gender roles thing. I said that's existed for a long time. I also said evil has existed for a long time. That doesn't make evil good just because it's existed for a long time. I also said
we're on the same page.
That contradicts what you're saying.
Okay, you didn't let me finish again. Okay, so the nuclear family and gender roles also have existed for a long time. I also said they're an institution. This institution has existed for a long time and been in place for a long time. Ever since that this wokeness has came out and just kind of destroyed the nuclear family, like I said, in the Vietnam era starting, we can see a steady moral decline. And it's obvious.
Hold on. Do you not see Ethan, do you not see the contradiction that you made? Because you just said, so now you've made a slight distinction that if it's something that's been around for a long time and is an institution, that makes it okay. But the institutions of Islam have been around for a long time. Institutions of Hinduism have been around for a long time.
Institution of religion. That's a religion, man.
What makes your religion not an institution?
Because the nuclear family is not a religion. It's an institution. The Nation of Islam is a religion.
So you still need to... So you're... Ethan, I'm very confused about your argument because you're saying that the nuclear family is better because this institution has been around for a long time and because...
it's better.
No,
you're
listen.
Just picking apart the nuclear family. I'm saying the right society as a whole is
right.
better.
Okay, I'm going to mute you because you cannot listen. So the reason why we're picking this apart is because you came in with the claim that the nuclear family was better for some vague reason. So yeah, we're going to pick this apart because if the nuclear family is better, then we should have evidence to back that up. And the problem is your argument is going in some weird circles to where you're only accepting what organization or institution you support. And you're not looking at where you've contradicted your own argument. So if gender roles are what make this nuclear family better, and that is an institution that's been around for a long time, but these other things that you don't like are not institutions, you're just cherry picking what you want to be true. So I want to let Blatant Blatheist address this first before I unmute you, because I'm not convinced that you're actually listening to our points.
I don't understand where he's coming from with the institution thing at all. Like, I want to know what his definition of an institution is, because from my understanding, racism is an institution. Like, the way that the government was set up all the way up through the civil rights movement, all that stuff, that was an institution. Now we're getting into a nuclear family situation, and it seems like your logic is girls learn to be in the kitchen, boys learn to be the head of the family, like this. That's the nuclear setup. What makes that better than any other situation is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I'm going to unmute you now, and you can answer the questions, please. You're unmuted.
First of all, bad analogy. Okay. First of all, bad analogy.
Hold on. Stop right there.
Okay, we're gonna mute you again. So you don't just get to come in and say bad analogy whenever you disagree. You have to point out why you disagree, or if it actually is a bad analogy, you need to point out logically why. You can't just say bad analogy every time. And I think every analogy we've used have demonstrated our points. I'm unmuting you again, so please answer the question.
You're talking about systemic racism versus a nuclear family. Two separate things.
We're not comparing them. No, listen,
totally
Ethan, I'm going to drop you if you do not listen to us, okay? The question was with regard to the definition of institution. What do you define as an institution? That is the question, and you can either answer this question or I'm going to hang up, all right? All right, you are unmuted.
You're making me define things that already have a definition. So look it up yourself and drop it.
So then you should be able to present your definition. Okay, this is, you know what? This is absolutely a waste of our time because Webster's.
No,
okay.
No, here's the thing.
All right.
Here's the thing. If you're let him. If you're making the argument, I want to make sure that you know how these words are used. It's not what the definition in the book says. How are you using it? Because you're the one that's making the argument.
Okay, this is your last chance.
What do you define as an institution? Simple question.
Chance.
What do you?
Hey, you might as well go ahead and drop me and prove my point. Because you guys are not understanding what I'm putting down.
All right, we're dropping. That was an absolute waste of time. And if I were to give the last piece of advice to Ethan, it's define your terms before coming here. Know that if I think his intention was to skip around definitions so that we can't peg him down and hold him accountable to his argument. And the thing is, like, if your argument is true, you should be willing to take accountability for the argument that you're saying. Like I want to know if I'm wrong or not. And if I say something and I define for you exactly what terms I'm using, exactly what context I mean this to be in, and someone says, actually, no, that is incorrect based on this argument you made, I'd rather know that and be corrected than give a non-definition to just avoid criticism.
Bad analogy, Ben. Come on now.
Bad analogy. Yeah, so that was unfortunately kind of a waste of our time going around in circles. But I have a few announcements while we recover from that and get ready for the next call. If you shop on Amazon, then you can support the ACA at no cost to you. Just simply visit tiny.cc/AmazonSmileACA and designate the Atheist Community of Austin as your selected charity, and Amazon will donate a portion of their profit directly to the ACA. Also, we have merch. All kinds of merch, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and that tote bag that the Brits seem to not know what it is. So even if you wanted to buy a tote bag and send it to your favorite Brit and make them wonder what you sent them, you can feel free to go to tiny.cc/merchaca for all ACA merchandise and our limited edition t-shirts that are only around for a short time. So be sure that you get those before they go away forever. You can also find all of our a channel that houses all of the ACA shows in audio podcast form by visiting tiny.cc/AEN podcast. You can become part of the Talk Heathen community in our fan-run Facebook page at tiny.cc/FBTHG. And in case you didn't know, Talk Heathen has a TikTok, and we go there live before the shows on Sunday. So go and subscribe to that TikTok and join in the pre-show on the Talk Heathen TikTok, which today was done by our lovely Richard Gilliver. And I heard it was an absolutely great time. So be sure next week to get in for that. All right. Blatant Blatheist, are you ready for another caller?
Oh, yeah, I think so anyway.
All right, we have another theist on the line. Let's talk to Wesley from West Virginia. And it sounds like you have proof of Jesus Christ, and I really want to know. Give us your best evidence for Jesus.
Well, I'm speaking from the Jesus Christ that never said sad and delicious, that never said I will turn and toss you violently like a ball, that never said don't tell the vision. I'm speaking from Jesus that said it is time, and tell the vision, and you shall not need the mark. And the proof is in your mouth and is in every mouth of everyone listening to your show. It's 2 healed teeth that I asked Jesus to give to you.
So what does this mean? Because I've never had, apart from my, baby teeth that fell out, I've had perfect teeth. I mean, I've been getting orthodontics and dental care for as long as I can remember. So which teeth did you heal?
I've got a gap, so I'm not sure what's.
Well, here I can give you more proof that Jesus is God. Would you please
hold on? That was proof.
Hold on.
I'm not convinced.
What
that
you just did was proof.
Well, there's people like you, that many people like you, some that even say Jesus, 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 that are going to be tempted with an amount of counterfeit money, $32,523 US in counterfeit crypto coin. But to get that money, they have to be branded with an Omni tattoo, a laser print of a barcode on the right-hand wrist or forehead. There's many people that are going to say, Jesus has given us this money, and it has nothing to do with Jesus.
Wait, hold on.
Do we have to sign up for this? Because I'm interested.
I have some questions. So number one, what does that have to do with my teeth? You still did not answer my teeth question. So which teeth were healed? Can you tell me that?
I asked Jesus to heal 2 teeth in every mouth on earth, and he did.
So which ones? And I didn't have teeth that needed to be healed. So did I just get left out?
I went to a dentist and it costs money.
I cannot tell you which ones. I can tell you that by denying it, you make a spiritual pair of fangs, like on the throat of a black froghead named Allah.
I like fangs.
To God, but that froghead, the unclean spirit like a frog, got on you when you're.
How do I know any of this happened?
Are we saying that our words are equal to God or equal to you? Because you're the one that said the prayer.
You believe that you're equal or above God.
I don't believe that God exists. So yeah.
Right. Well, that's how Satan believes he's above God. Yeah, of course.
Well, Satan knows that God is real, but in the book he does, because I don't believe in Satan either. I don't know if you're catching that.
Well,
but you said you had proof. Hold on. You said you had proof. Right now it sounds like you are actually making up parables, and the actual parables that are 2,000 years old that we all know don't convince me. So if you're going to come on here and make up some today, that's definitely not going to convince me.
You're going to be convinced. Jesus is going to give you to the devil. That's what you want. You want war, is what Jesus told you.
So Wesley, why did you call into our show then if we can't be convinced?
Just to remind
If there's no hope for me,
what's
then
going to
why are
happen
you
to
calling?
you for not being, to remind you of what is going to happen to you for not being convinced.
So here's the thing, though,
Or not.
Wesley. Like you come in here and you tell us these things. I have absolutely no reason to believe any of this happened. Is there a way that you could demonstrate that what you're saying is true? How do I know that what you say is true?
No, you have two healed teeth in your mouth that Jesus put there, and you know it. And Jesus
I
said
don't
to
know
you,
it. Hold on. No, Wesley,
No
you do
time.
not get to tell me what I know or what I don't know. Are you inside my brain? Can you tell me what
I can tell you
everything
what
that I
you
know and
thought
what I
on
don't know?
March 30. I can tell you what Satan raped your mind into believing
Hold
on
on.
March 31st.
Hold on.
Oh,
No.
I
No.
know
We're
there's
not
one thing
we're not
about
going to go
you
there.
You're more of
Wesley.
an ultimatumist, and when someone fills your
I'm muting you because you're not listening, and I find it, number one, kind of offensive to use inflammatory language like that to describe somebody that does not believe in your God. And I'm confused about why you called in at all to warn us about all of this. And I'm gonna unmute you, but you need to have a conversation with us. Like I want to know. I want to know what you believe and why, but the why is very important. I want to know why you were convinced that all of this is true. And instead of coming in and telling me that I just know and I'm denying it, I can honestly tell you, I don't know. I don't know that any of this has happened. And maybe you could tell me what convinced you that this was true. I'm going to unmute you, okay? So what convinced
I
you,
never
Wesley?
doubted Jesus. I don't doubt that Jesus is God. I don't have any doubts like that. I don't need
So
to
you're
make
convinced because
ultimatums.
you never doubted. So what other things do you believe? What do you believe that the Hindu gods are true?
Absolutely not. The Hindu God,
So
Satan has many names.
so then why did you doubt?
Buddha,
Why did you doubt the Hindu God and not doubt your own God? What if I said, well, you actually believe in Krishna, but you just
I don't believe in Krishna.
I never doubted Krishna. And
Mhm.
you're in the wrong
Well-
here because you doubted Krishna and I didn't. And I can prove to you that Krishna is real because I can tell you exactly what was planted in your brain on April 2nd of last year. And I know that there was a rabbit that ran across your front yard on that day, and you didn't see it. You were somewhere else. You didn't see it, but it happened. And you can't prove me wrong. But it
you know
happened.
what happened.
You know it happened.
You
Wesley.
don't. You sound more like somebody that wants to play nyan, is what you sound like.
I'm repeating back to you pretty much your argument to me. You made a claim that something happened to my teeth and that I'm going to grow fangs and that Satan planted something in my brain on March 31st and that I should just believe it because you never doubted. That's the same kind of thing. Do you understand that you haven't presented any evidence for what you've said? None of this is convincing.
You have two healed teeth in your mouth that Jesus
You
put
still have
there
not
because
proven
man-
that.
Well, I've not spoken one time that you haven't tried to interrupt me when I tried to explain.
Okay.
So you
Hold
don't
on,
want
Ben.
to listen.
Let him go. Wesley, go ahead. Go ahead, Wesley.
Well, you're going to have that vision again on February 13th, and you're going to hear the angels tell it, and you're going to
It was
see
a
it in
vision?
your mind. And
So you're mad at us for interrupting, but here's the problem.
just
Though.
changed the-
If we let you talk, you just go on and change the subject to something completely different. And like, do you know what like gish galloping is? Because that's what you're kind of doing right now. Like you're making points, and then before we get a second to address your point, you just move on to the next point. And so that's why we have to interrupt you. I'm not interrupting to be mean, but we're trying to have a conversation, and in order to have this conversation, we need both people, or in this case, all three of us, to be able to talk. And we can't address all of your claims if you give us a 10-minute speech first. So I still am not convinced that I still don't know what vision I had to begin with. What vision did I have at all?
Yeah. No, that vision is shut to you, young man. That's the way it is.
Okay, so there's
I
no
will
point
open
in
it
us talking about
I
this.
will
All right.
open it on February 13th, I will open it for Jesus.
Okay.
You will.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just gonna keep telling me what I should be thinking. I'm still not convinced. I don't think this conversation is going anywhere.
Can I just end with this? I want
yeah,
you to like just here's a practice for you, Wesley. Take everything that you just said and replace God and Jesus with Odin and replace Satan with Loki, and then tell me if that makes sense to you.
And here, I'll let him speak. This will be the Okay. Did you hear that question, Wesley?
I heard you playing Nyanya.
Okay.
All right, we're dropping you.
Yeah. We tried.
So it's really not hard to have a good conversation with us. Like, we want to have a good conversation. We want to have a good time discussing, but the problem is, like, people need to listen, and there needs to be a back and forth. And with both of these first two callers, we have not had like any back and forth. And so just a tip for anyone that's called in that's waiting to get on the show, that's really all you got to do. If you can listen and can be honest, then I think we can have a good discussion. And we have a super chat from Mike L.A. Whaley. Says, this is my donation to the Wesley Mental Health Foundation. He's borderline extreme. And thank you for the super chat. Although I want to be careful with how we communicate about mental health with relation to callers. I'm going to take everybody. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and assume that they honestly believe what they are saying. And I just hope that people can listen. That's my one gripe. I don't have a problem with people having different ideas than me. I am okay with differences in opinion. I'm happy to discuss that. It's just some listening. That would be really nice. Next, let's take Thomas from Tennessee. Thomas, you are on Talk Heathen. It sounds like you want to talk about processing death as an atheist. What would you like to talk about?
Last Friday, my it's a long, drawn-out story, and I can't get into that, but I'll let you know that she was weak, and she had lost a lot of weight, but her legs started. First of all, she was diagnosed with cancer 3 weeks ago, but it doesn't have anything to do with the cancer. Her legs were a little swollen. I'm thinking like, retention of liquid or whatever, in your body. But it was actually Thursday night going into Friday that her leg turned really dark purple from the knee down. And I couldn't get her up, and she had fallen in the bathroom, and she couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it. She was conscious and all. I called paramedics. They came down, took her to the hospital, and in the process of getting a CT scan on her leg, she had, her heart stopped. And they brought her back to life and took her back to her regular room, where she proceeded to just pass away. She was 51. She was beautiful in every way and the sweetest gal. And now, at being 63 myself, I have to process it. And people would argue that you can't do it without God. And I'm going to tell them it's going to suck either way. It just is. It is what it is. And we have to work on that, and we have to process it just like anybody else would. So yes, I'm atheist, and she was also. And we've been to a lot of the conferences and enjoyed life immensely together. We've been married for about 10 years, 11 years or so, and that's what happened. It just sucks. Your take on it?
I'm really, really sorry that you're going through that. I cannot imagine the grief that you're going through and everything that's going on in your mind. I definitely want to emphasize talking to somebody about this, because grief is a normal process, and you should grieve. But it's not always beneficial to grieve alone. And there's a wonderful organization called Grief Beyond Belief. And you can find them at griefbeyondbelief.org. For you and for anybody else in the audience that might be going through something like that. There's also Recovering from Religion that you can go to. They've got volunteers that can talk you through these situations and what you're going through, and help you deal with any religious family members or community members that you might have trouble talking to at this time. And they have some really good resources. So I highly recommend getting on the phone with somebody, having that conversation, or if you have your own therapist that you're already established with to talk to, it's incredibly important that you're not alone right now. Blatant Blatheist, do you have any advice on this?
Yeah, Ben pretty much summed it up perfectly. I will say that, Thomas, right now you're on the right path. You started off strong just with accepting what is, admitting to yourself that it's gonna suck. And you know what I mean? That's the first huge step, because what we tend to do as human beings in general is we almost try to live in an alternate reality. We think about what could have been, what should have been, what I could have said, you know what I mean? We just take ourselves in that circle. But the big thing to do right now is accept what is, so you can deal with the reality of the situation. That's the only way you can have an actual influence on it. Otherwise, you're just prolonging your suffering, right? So you're on the right path.
I'm glad that I'm doing it the way I'm glad that I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, not the way that when I was during my first marriage, I guess she had enough of me, and she said, you know, I'm going to leave you. We're going to be divorced. And I couldn't deal with it. And at that point, which was quite a while ago, she said, you know, you're just going to have to accept it, you know. And in my mind, I couldn't. And I was brought up and raised Catholic. I was an altar boy, and I played played guitar in the folk mass on Sundays, and I followed all those things. But I was, in general, I'm going to say I didn't live my life like that. But I did believe it. I believed there was a God, and I was praying, you know, God. And when I realized that he wasn't going to listen to me when I was talking to an empty room, at that point, that's pretty much when I became an atheist. And since that day, I've learned so much. That was probably 12 or 13 years ago. And I've learned to accept things now. When I see them and realize that I can't change them, I've gotten so much better at that.
Yeah, that's a huge step.
But thank you,
a huge
guys.
step in the right direction.
Thank you guys so much. I do want to let you know that I've got a son that's 25 and I've got a girl that's 30, and they are helping me along quite a bit.
Good.
Yeah, they're helping me. So, and
really
I definitely, if I need extra help, I'm gonna, call one of those organizations that you guys recommended.
Yes, please do. They are available at any time for you to contact them. I really hope that you can get through this difficult time. And I cannot imagine what you're feeling right now, all of the thoughts in your head. But I hope that at least you've got some community and you've got somebody to talk to. Any other thoughts that you have?
Oh, no.
For me, or
yeah, either of you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, I'm gonna find a way. I will make it. I've got a good, strong will to move forward in my life, and I'm gonna find a way somehow.
And Thomas, you're getting a lot of love in the side chat, and I don't know if it's possible to throw out some extra love rings early, but if we can, I'd love to throw Thomas some love rings from the. There we go. We got some love rings for you, Thomas.
Oh, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much. I just want to let student Dr. Ben know that my wife really enjoyed him a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. And thank you for calling in. I'm so sorry you're going through all this.
Thank you.
And if there's any way we can
Thank
help,
you so much.
feel free to email, or you can call those organizations that I mentioned earlier. Or if you just want somebody to chat with, my email is open for the ACA. So definitely love to hear more from you. And I hope that you'll get through this time.
Thank you guys so much for taking my call. You guys have a fantastic program. Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Have a good
You
day.
too,
Thanks
Thomas.
for calling in, Thomas.
Yes.
All right. So also make sure to check out the newest episode of the flagship show of the ACA, the Nonprofits, which will air live at 3 p.m. Central Time today at tiny.cc/YTNP. The ACA also wants you to know what is going on in our community, and for that, we have an updated website. You can go over to www.atheist-community.org, where you can learn more about the organization itself, its policies, and how you can get involved. We also want to hear from you, and as I just mentioned, you can contact us by email. Let us know what you liked, what you thought was effective, and things that you didn't like. You can email us at tv@atheist-community.org and let us know all of your thoughts. But Talk Heathen isn't the only show with the ACA. We have several others, including the Nonprofits, the Atheist Experience, and Secular Sexuality, and Truth Wanted. And if you didn't catch all of the shows last week, here's a taste of the things that you missed.
Lubrication. Yeah. We preach this a lot here. It's great. Use it.
Lube is your friend.
How can I reason when an atheist believes they share a grandpa with a chimpanzee?
I don't believe that.
Nobody believes that.
The Pope's saying that homosexuality is not a crime. And I suppose we can call this a step in the right direction. I don't know if I should actually start singing Step in the Right Direction.
You threw me off by jumping into hard solipsism, because that's not somewhere I was going to go into.
I'm constantly unconvinced about your existence, Richard. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Johnny, when you commit sin, don't you feel kind of bad? And kind of...
I don't think I've ever committed a sin in my many years walking this earth.
Have you ever looked at a woman with lust?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. And if you can arrange to be in the Austin area on February 26th, join us in the studio audience at the ACA Free Thought Library for live broadcasts of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. Doors open at 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday and noon on Sunday. Parking is wherever you can find a legal spot after the lot is full. Or if you end up getting a spot in the parking lot, you might be playing Tetris for several hours. So be sure that if you do park in the parking lot, that you're committed to staying for a while, or at least playing some Tetris. If you can't make it this month, we will continue to broadcast live from the library the last week of each month. So keep watching this show and watching the website, atheist-community.org, for news and information as we expand our in-studio offerings in the future. And speaking of being in the local Austin area, if you do live in Austin or are Austin adjacent, we are in need of additional crew members for the shows. If you are interested in assisting with video, audio, or call screening, and you can attend our live studio shows, please email us at tv@atheist-community.org, and the production team will be in touch with you. So, Blatant Blatheist, we have a few more calls on the line. Let's take... we got some interesting ones here. Let's talk with Bryan from Ireland. Bryan, you are live on Talk Heathen, and it sounds like you want to talk about true believers and if you think people actually believe. What are your thoughts? There's some noise. Bryan, you there?
Hi, sorry. No, literally time zones in the middle of serving dinner when I heard the beep.
That is all right. Well, you are on the show now. What would you like to talk about?
Well, yeah, I think, like my question said, I don't know how much of Irish history you guys know, but after independence, we became basically a de facto theocracy. It just became part of the culture, the society, being Catholic. And growing up, I'd say I stopped believing in God around 12, but I'm not sure I ever actually did believe. I didn't have a great revelation, or I tortured myself and examined my beliefs. I just kind of fell out of it. I mean, I was an altar boy and everything when I was younger, and it was just so easy to fall out of it. I'm not sure I ever believed. It was just something that was expected, and it just kind of makes me wonder how many people who think they believe don't. It's just something that's expected of them.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. I think it depends on, well, the person to person, honestly. I know even when I was a believer, there were times where I was unconvinced and I felt like I needed something more, and then fear would take over. Or I would talk to somebody and I would feel reassured, and like, you know what I mean? It really depends on the person and what time of their life they're in. Like, it's so many variables.
Yeah, I do remember one time years later when my brother was in a very difficult medical spot. Years after I stopped believing, the first place I thought to go to when it really hit me and I was breaking down was to go to a church and to beg, even though I didn't believe in him, to pray to God to heal him.
Yeah. That's what we do. We fall back on what we were taught. Desperation breeds behavior.
Yeah, I would be curious to see some statistics on this particular question, because I would think that it's more common than we think that people would stay in a religion even when they don't believe, for things like community or financial security, if they're in a household that's not welcoming and they depend on their other family members. In marriages, I could see people potentially staying in a religion to save their marriage or to keep from getting a divorce. So I don't know the stats on this. I bet somebody has made a survey where they've asked if someone sincerely believes or if they are just in a religion for a different reason. I don't know any off the top of my head. I know for me, I sincerely believed up until the day that I just didn't. I know a lot of people go through these kind of big stages of their deconstruction and their deconversion. As soon as I got to a point where I was no longer convinced, I could not stay in the organization. I couldn't stay in the culture because I knew how toxic it was. So that was my case. But I come from a very fundamental evangelical background. So I think it's different. My culture was based on the sincere belief. Whereas, as I understand it with many Catholic cultures, it's a lot more common to have people that are culturally Catholic and not really practicing. So do you think, Bryan, do you think the Irish culture itself plays a factor into this? Or I'm a little bit curious because I think America might be different.
Well, you're absolutely right there. I mean, just in my lifetime, I'm 40, so it's quite a long lifetime. But just in my lifetime, the changes in Irish culture and society. I mean, homosexuality was illegal until 1989. Divorce was illegal until 1999. And just in my lifetime, I've seen the changes we've made. We voted. We were the first country to vote by majority for marriage equality. Just a few years ago, we voted for abortion access. But if you look at the statistics, Ireland is still, I think it's about 88% Catholic. And people will, they, having never gone to church for years, if they have a baby, it's just a cultural thing that you have a baptism.
Are there
I
any?
can definitely see that.
In Ireland, are there any like social consequences for coming out as atheist? Like, because I don't know much about Irish culture in that respect. So I know a lot of people here
No, that's
will
okay.
say
Not
religion
many
for
people do.
consequences, but if someone came out as atheist, would they face some social consequences over there?
For atheism, not particularly. We do still have some issues. Even after voting for marriage equality, there are still issues of discrimination against LGBT people and the like. But I think so many people are laissez-faire Catholics that they can't really judge people for not being believers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Did that? I think. I hope we answered your question. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
You did. I just kind of wanted to bounce it around with some people who basically spend their time thinking about these kind of things, because it was only recently I recognized that I never stopped believing. I don't think I ever did. Just one final point I wanted to make was the big shift in Irish culture was, and I'm sure the same in a lot of cultures, predominantly Catholic cultures, was the abuse scandals. People just basically stopped listening to the church when they told them how to think or what to do.
Blatant Blatheist, do you have any final thoughts?
Just chime in with that. I completely, well, not completely, but I kind of get where Brian's coming from. Like just saying how the Irish culture just became de facto Catholic, because growing up in Black America, we're all Christian. If you're Muslim, we can kind of accept you. You're okay, but you got to have some kind of belief in God. Otherwise, you're one of the others. Like when I was a believer, the only Black atheist that I could name was Morgan Freeman, and I felt bad for him. So we are a very sheltered, tight-knit community. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I won't speak on that. We've become a lot more diverse in Ireland in recent years, but I won't speak on that topic.
Yeah, well, thank you for calling in, Brian. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Great chat.
I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.
And I hope you have a good, you got about 8 or 9 hours on me, so you got a much longer Sunday for you.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Bye. Okay. That was see, we are plenty capable of having a kind conversation. So I don't know why people get so mad at us.
It's not hard.
Yeah. All right. I think the next one has been waiting for a little while. And they specifically wanted to talk while I was on. So let's bring on Zakean, they, them, from Oklahoma. It sounds like you're struggling a little bit with some religious family members. What would you like to talk about today?
All right, so I'm an atheist. The entire rest of my family is practicing Catholics, except for one cousin. And I came out as atheist in 2012 after my first year of college, and that caused some tension in the family that has, by this point, somewhat smoothed over, but it still causes issues sometimes. But I recently come out as non-binary, and my family is weirdly supportive yet unsupportive. Like, they're supportive of me wanting to get top surgery because they watched me struggle with my chest curses my entire life. But they refuse to use my pronouns or my name, and they still insist on referring to me as their daughter. My mom sent me a text saying that she said, I genuinely think that the reason you don't think you're female is because of your body issues. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, that's part of being trans.
Yeah, how long ago did you say you came out to them?
It was a few months ago. I was never going to come out to them because my mom had made it clear that she doesn't think trans people are valid because God doesn't make mistakes. But then she was talking to my roommate, asking him about it because she was worried that I was trans, and he said, "Don't worry, she's not trans, she's non-binary." I was like,
yeah,
like that. You don't get that. You don't get what I'm trying. But yeah, so I was kind of forced to come out to them. But...
Right. Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience with all of my coming out, and my family is kind of the same as yours. They are not using my correct pronouns. They're not using my correct name. They've compromised a little bit to where they'll use gender neutral terms for me, but they will not use he, him, and they will not call me by my name, which is my legal name. But one thing I can kind of say is it's very early in your coming out process, and they might need time to think about it. They might need time to ask some weird questions, and it depends on how you look at the situation. Everybody handles it a little bit differently, but you need to take care of yourself in this. And I highly recommend setting up boundaries with your family. If this makes you very uncomfortable, you can even set up a hard boundary of, if you're not going to refer to me as my name and my pronouns, and you're not going to try, then I'm not going to interact with you. Like, you can put up that boundary, and then it's in their court if they want to try or not. But if you don't mind kind of taking some of their bad questions or putting up with it, and you don't feel like you need to set such hard of a boundary, you can. I've seen some people recommend maybe a year or so of letting them ask whatever questions they want, even if they're weird. And some people find that helps their family kind of come around. My family, I end up just tolerate them. I put up boundaries, not super hard. Like, I still talk to my family, but I'm not as involved in their lives, and they're not as involved in mine. And I think that they know there's tension. So I hope that eventually they come around, but kind of the tactics you take with your own family are going to depend on what relationship you still want to have with them, and your safety and your own mental health. So I don't want to force you into one direction or another. But I guess my response to that one main point you talked about with God doesn't make mistakes, there's an interesting discussion you can have there, because we have evidence that trans people and non-binary people have existed for a long time. They are a normal variation of normal people. And you could start a conversation, if you wanted to, with your family, talking about maybe shifting their thought to, well, if God doesn't make mistakes, then maybe trans people are the way that they should be. And even you can even work within their own religious framework and see if you can guide them to at least a more healthy place. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can't really set up boundaries because they're my landlords.
Okay.
My parents have a reasonable amount of money. Like, they're not super rich, but I, as a teacher, could not afford to buy a house. And so they bought a house for me and my roommate to rent from them at a very reasonable price. So it's like, and it's weird. And I feel conflicted because on the one hand, they still express that they love me, but they are so set in their beliefs against the validity of my identity that it's like, I feel like I should be grateful because of the ways they support me, but then I feel ungrateful because I'm still hurt and still complain about the fact that they don't really accept me for who I am.
Right. Yeah. And that's the situation I'm in with my family too. Not necessarily with them being my landlords, but I totally understand how frustrating that is. And why you'd be worried about interacting with them, especially when you are financially dependent on them a little bit.
Yeah.
Blatant Blatheist, do you have any thoughts about interacting with religious family that don't agree with you?
Honestly, it's gonna be more of what I was telling Thomas, just about accepting. Like, you have to accept the reality of this is who they are. You may be able to get through to them at some point, but if you don't, it helps to just accept that this may be the situation and have to decide, how long can I put up with this, or what steps should I take to maybe give myself a little bit more distance? Because yeah, right now the situation is the situation, but that's about all I've got, because I don't want to speak too much on it, because
yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it helps even just knowing that you've had a similar experience and how you're dealing with it. And yeah, it helps to know that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly common. And I think if you talk to other people in the trans community, you'd find that this experience is way more common than we think it is. So I hope at least you feel a little bit better about the situation. And if you ever need somebody to rant to about this, I know there's plenty of people in our own community, probably some people on the Facebook groups and all that, where you can go find somebody going through the same thing. And even most of us, while a lot of people in this audience might not be experiencing the trans issue with their family, a lot of people understand what it's like to have family that's just not supportive of who they really are. So I think that experience is common to a lot of us. And I think you'll find a lot of support, at least in this space.
I could definitely speak to that. Like, I don't want to compare the situations, but like anytime I talk to my mom, and we talk at least twice a week, she's still telling me about God's plan and how she's praying for things to happen. And it's like, okay, Mom, like this, you know who you're talking to, right? This that's not my thing, but all right, keep going. So I get that aspect, but yeah, I don't want to compare, because yeah, it's a very different situation, and I get it.
All right. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
I would say, I think that what you said about, this being the reality and just accepting it and moving, I think that helps too. But thanks. I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, thank you for your call, and feel free to call back in the future if you get any updates on how everything went, or if it's worse or any better. Love to hear from you.
All right. Thanks. Have a good day.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Have a good one.
All right. And with that, we have the top 5 patrons of the week. Blatant Blatheist, would you like to read the patrons this week? Or I can. Either one is fine.
I can read them.
Okay.
I would try to read them anyway. So top 5 patrons of this week is going to be number 1, Eric Tweet. 2, Dingleberry Jackson. I Am Me. Okay, I think. Number 3, I Am Me. Number 4, Divine Vajan. Number 5, Kelp. Okay, I should have let you read them. I definitely should have.
We get the fun entertainment with the top 5 patrons. I think number 5 was Kalevi Helveti, and an honorable mention from Sarah Cook. Thank you.
I can
to
read
all
Sarah
of our
Cook.
Patrons. Oh, but I wanted to take the easy one. No, and welcome to Reading Time with Blatant Blatheist student Dr. Ben. We are here to assure you that we can, in fact, read the top 5 patrons of the week with help.
Well, Ben can.
We needed some help, but we can do it. We'll work on our reading skills for next week. I promise next time we'll be able to read a little bit better.
Catch up on a couple episodes of The
phonics.
Rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we got a few more callers. Let's talk to Vaibhav in India. Kaisa hai ho, Vaibhav?
Oh, you speak Hindi?
Yes, I do speak Hindi. I lived in India for 2 months.
Oh.
Yeah, what's your question today?
Great, but okay, so my question, so there is a scenario actually. We have a small group, like 10, 12 people. We are all atheists. We have a small society. One of us just converted back to he's in faith. He believes in God now somehow. And we have a rule that only atheists can live with us. And we really don't want to kick him out, but those are like that. And we can't talk to him because he gets angry. He has some issues. He can't go back to family. So I just wanted some guidance.
Yeah, this is a rough issue, and because I have a bit of understanding for what you're dealing with over there in India. For people that might not be caught up, it's kind of socially taboo to talk about religion with other people, especially when they didn't ask about it. So it's not super common to engage in religious conversations, especially just randomly. So I get that could be difficult to kind of work through, and why he'd put up these walls and not want to talk about it. Which did you say which religion he had converted back to, or is he part of a specific religion?
Hindu religion.
Okay. Yeah. Does this create any conflict with him being Hindu and being in your house?
No, he's not in our house. We have a small villa. We rented this villa in 2010. Yeah. So the problem is this place is only for people who were kicked out from the family because they had issues, like if someone is from LGBTQ community or someone is a atheist and family don't want to keep them in house. So,
okay, I get it. So
now we have a problem. Yeah.
Like, I want to summarize this back to you just to make sure that I understand kind of where the conflict is. So, like, it's a space that's meant for people that don't have another place to go, usually for a religious reason or lack thereof, that they weren't accepted by their families and needed a place to stay. So is kind of the issue that this person might be taking a spot from somebody else who might need that accommodation?
Yes, that is the problem right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Blatant Blatheist, what are your thoughts?
I would just say, like, at least I don't, is he still in the house right now, or is he already gone?
No, he is with us. We can't just throw him out. Of course, he's a friend. But the situation
that's exactly what I was going to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't kick him out, because that's a very, I hate to say it, but that's something that religious families do. They kick you out, no warning.
Exactly.
You
We
don't
can't
fit,
do the same
get
thing.
out. Exactly. So give them time, try to help them get something set up. But if that spot is reserved for someone who really needs it, then yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, just talking to someone helps actually. And Dr. Ben, you have a beautiful voice. Just wanted to let you know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you could, like, going with what Blatant Blatheist was saying, you could probably set something up, maybe, like, even if you sat down, and this is hard, I guess, if you can't bring up religion and why the conversation is happening, that might be the thing you really need to think about, is how to bring up the conversation with this friend. But if you do need to find something alternative, like maybe setting up a mutual agreement of, like, hey, if you're not really needing this space anymore and have some other place you'd be able to go, can we set up a time frame, like 6 months, 12 months from now, let you get on your feet, find another place that you'd be able to go to. I'm not sure how to address the bringing it up without religion. Is there anything that you can think of that, like,
only problem here is I don't know how to start a conversation. And that's, we gave him 6 months in last year. He didn't leave. We gave him another 3 months. Now next week those 3 months are he's supposed to leave by next week. We gave him some money to start his business or something, but so we tried. But the problem is, as an atheist, if I'm doing something wrong, so society will be like, okay, all atheists are wrong. So we really have to be careful before taking any decisions.
Yeah, so you've already had the conversation. You've already set up the time frame to get him his own place, and he hasn't been willing to leave. So, okay. So you're worried that if you finally had to draw the line, that the religious community would say, look, these atheists kicking out this person. Yeah, I can see why. Maybe there needs to be a conversation about like the kind of the expectations of, I guess, I don't know if you can technically be called roommates or how you'd refer to yourself, but like, you know, when you're living around other people and you have certain rules that you go by, and I think it's fair if you already had those guidelines established where you say, we already agreed to this. These were the terms that we agreed to, and I think that you've overstepped and have not adhered to what we had already agreed to. And then maybe let him join the conversation, see if there's any misunderstanding involved, see if any miscommunications came up or what his expectations were, and maybe hopefully get to some common ground about that. It's not the religious reason that we have to make this decision. It's that we've had this conversation before and you're not listening. You're not meeting the same expectations that we had agreed upon. So I think focusing less on the religious aspect and focus more on the contract per se, like the agreement that you made is the issue of the discussion.
Yeah. Actually, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Blatant Blatheist, do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you.
That summed it up perfectly.
All right. Yeah, thank you for calling in. I hope that any of that helped.
It helps, actually. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Blatant. Your names are also difficult, but thank you guys so much.
Thank you for calling in. Have a good rest of your day. All right. We have one more call, and then we'll wrap up the show. So let's talk to Brooklyn, him from Florida. And you wanted to talk about the poll today. I'm very excited to see a poll conversation. What are your thoughts on satanic performance?
Yes, I just saw the poll, and I just was curious. I wanted to ask you about the poll. Is satanic performances allowed in the public domain? I would think they should be, but
yeah, they are. And the reason why this poll even happened was there was a certain music awards ceremony recently where Sam Smith performed a very openly satanic theatrical performance, and since then a lot of Christians have been very bothered by this. They have come out saying that they should not have satanic themes being represented on any public platforms, and especially ones that children might be watching and all that. So that's why we had the poll question, because this actually came up, and this has been a conversation topic over the internet for the past few days. So, and I agree with you. I don't think that they should be banned. I think this goes under artistic expression, and whether or not you want children to be around for said performance is a whole different conversation. Because I think there were maybe some sexual themes along with this. Suggestive themes. So yeah, I mean, not having that kind of thing around kids, I understand. But in terms of satanic themes, I'm with you. I think that there really isn't a problem having that in public spaces. What do you think, Blatant Blatheist?
I think when it comes to like the kids part of it, that always annoys me when, especially let's just say conservative religious folk, whenever they see something on TV that they just, oh, the kids are going to be, watch your kids, change the channel, make the sacrifice. You don't have to watch it. Like, it always annoys me. My kids were in the room. Did you change the channel, or were you so glued to the TV that you didn't want to be left out of the conversation tomorrow at work, so you watched it even though your kids were there? Turn it off. But besides that, yeah, like you said, it's artistic expression. If I'm watching that certain award show and someone gets up there and they start singing a gospel song, I'm not going to look at my son and freak. Oh my God, my son's in the room. What do I do? It's like, oh, I know this song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all art. It's either all art or none of it is. So let's not draw any lines here.
Yeah,
right.
it's
It's
like
interesting. Go for it, Brooklyn.
For people who like to watch and see different things than themselves. I mean, it all comes down to that, it seems.
Right.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
And this goes into, like, if we're going to regulate one particular viewpoint for art, then what else are we going to regulate? This assumption, and this is something that bothers me about a lot of Christian circles, is that anything that is Christian is by default wholesome and family friendly. And then as soon as it's not Christian, it's no longer deemed wholesome and family friendly. Like if you played a kids show about Islam, which I'm sure there are probably some out there that are shows for kids from different religions, and I'm sure Islam has something out there. But if you played that kind of show and that's deemed to be not family friendly, even though it might have just different themes, I wouldn't be okay banning that kind of show in the public either. I wouldn't be okay banning any other religious shows. Granted, like, you have to be careful about what types of things you're allowing around children, but in public in general, like, if we're talking violence, the Bible is full of violence, so that's not family friendly, but it's biblical. And we play publicly violent things, like, I mean, Game of Thrones is allowed on public TV, and like, people don't seem to have, I mean, they do have a problem with that, but
certain aspects
Don't they go around in the public square preaching, telling people they might be going to hell? Don't Christians do that?
Yep, a lot of them do.
So, I mean, how could they possibly complain about somebody expressing a different opinion of you? And Satan is obviously fake. I mean, it's not real. So I don't get, like, the Christian mentality at all.
It's par for the course, though. Like, especially in our, I'll just say, our culture in this country. It's kind of what we do. I don't like that, so it's wrong. No matter what, like, that's on all aisles. That's from every end of the spectrum. People that see things that they don't like, they don't want other people to like it. They want it to be out of the zeitgeist. Get it away from me. Nobody should see this. I hate it. So that's just a common thing, but some people are just the loudest ones in the room, so we hear them a lot more.
Exactly.
Well, it is crazy when I watch all the stuff on YouTube about Sam Smith's performance being harmful to America. I mean, it's just is amazing to me that people are stuck in this mentality that a performance on the Grammy Awards somehow is going to destroy America. It's just,
and it's the weirdest thing because it's like, yeah, it's the same people that are saying America first, we're the greatest, we're unbeatable, we're unstoppable. Oh my God, a dude in a red suit, like, right? Like, it got to make it make sense.
And there's, like, with entertainment as well, like, there are ratings for shows, and I'm sure the awards even had I'm sure that they had a rating at the beginning of the show, because I think every show in the US has to have a rating. So, and I don't think anybody looks at something like the Grammys and says, yeah, this is going to be completely 100% family friendly. Like, it's meant for adults. It's meant for an adult audience. Like, most kids don't sit through kind of boring award shows. And I apologize to anyone who thinks watching those shows is fun, but like, they're not entertaining for kids. So I think most of these shows anyway are rated like 13 or 14 and up or something anyway.
Yeah.
So like, that's why the rating system exists, is to tell you like, hey, there might be some suggestive content. Maybe don't bring your 5-year-old to watch this event. And that's up to you. You can always change the channel and say, I don't want to watch this right now. Like, you have every right to say, I don't want to watch this show. I don't want to give money to this show. You have every right to do that. It's just odd when you take that and say, this is my right to speak out about this, and I'm going to tell everybody else that they cannot engage in this because I don't like it. It's kind of wild to me.
And
it's like
and as though watching Sam Smith on the Grammys is going to actually get some people in America to say, "Oh, there really is a Satan." The whole thing is preposterous. Like, what do they care about that Sam Smith is doing a show? I'm so disgusted with what I see online from Christians. It just amazes me.
Like, I've had to actually tell somebody that, like, no, he's doing the Lord's work. Like, you shouldn't be mad at this. He's doing the Lord's work. If he's convincing people that Satan is real, he's actually doing you a favor, because I'm still unconvinced. You should tell him to try harder.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's the Satanic Panic has never actually stopped.
I was unaware if it was legal or illegal to do satanic shows in public space. I have not seen that as an issue, so I just was drawn in by the question.
Oh yeah, it's still legal, and it should be legal. But the other big thing that people were angry about with this particular performance was that the co-star involved in this music performance is a trans woman. And so that's the other thing. People were saying that, well, it's satanic because they're openly portraying Satan, and they have a trans woman, because that somehow makes it much more icky that all of this is combined together. So they have a lot of problems with what happened. But
I get it. That, I mean, God forbid there be a trans woman, right?
Right.
God forbid we acknowledge it publicly. That's what it is.
It's absolutely
God forbid
nuts
that we acknowledge
on.
that other people exist.
Yes, and the trans thing from the Christian perspective lately, what I'm seeing is they're actually scared of trans people. It's like, it's a horrible thing. I can't imagine living in that bubble. It's like
propaganda works.
Trans people like they're frightening, horrifying people, and it's like, I just don't understand how they live in that bubble. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, the Satanic Panic never really stopped. Like, it started off, and then it's always been here. It's just they found different things to label as satanic, and now we're pushing back. And instead of having these things that are not actually referencing Satan, like Dungeons and Dragons not actually being satanic, or what else, things that they've labeled as satanic aren't actually. But then now we're pushing back and saying, like, oh yeah, well, we can have fun making fun of the Satanic Panic, which is kind of what they're doing. Like, they're using Satanism to prove a point in representation of all religions, and not over-representation of certain religions. But then also just saying, this is kind of ridiculous that you panic about all these things, and we're going to showcase this very openly. This is actually representing Satan, maybe to show that these other things were more ridiculous. But yeah,
well,
the panic.
It seems really, like you guys are doing a good thing in talking about these things. Hopefully, more people watch the show. and get a bigger picture than what they're seeing in the Christian world, because the Christian world seems to be very dangerous lately. I was a Christian for many years, haven't been for about 10, but what I see lately is this rise of Christian anger, and I think that's very scary. I mean, they seem to be getting very angry about things that are going on in America. Things like trans people, they get very angry at that. And I think it's going to lead to violence. I think that the Christian nationalism is actually a very violent movement.
That's because everyone is living in their little echo chambers right now. Like everyone is picking their corners and they're staying to it, and they're not taking in any information from the opposite side or anything that could even dissuade them from what they've already been convinced of. So the more this keeps going on, the more people are just going to dig in their heels, and it's going to become more people feeling like they're being attacked just because different information is being put out. Like if someone says that trans people exist and that's okay, they feel like you're actually attacking them. So they respond as if they're being attacked. So that's what's bubbling over right now.
Right, and it's that thing where if you have privilege and you start losing your privilege, equality feels like oppression. That famous quote. Yeah. So they feel like they're being oppressed. They're not actually being oppressed. We're just advocating for rights for everybody. And they see that as like they're losing their ability to be in charge, and they don't like that. So I think we should keep pushing back like this. I think while I don't necessarily encourage just like antagonizing people for no reason, I think these kinds of displays, like kind of poking holes in their areas of privilege, poking holes in areas where they've had this control for so long, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to make it, and even to get their responses. Like, as well, it's funny to sit back and either laugh at or be frustrated by these religious takes on things. It's very telling. Like they're finally open about their intentions. They're open about what they actually want and what their goals are. And I think in a way, it's frightening that they're comfortable enough saying that thing. But on the other hand, the fence sitters are now less likely to be convinced by them, I think, because now they're openly extreme on a lot of those fronts. And so that fence sitter that said, oh, well, I'm just, siding with these people because we have the same views on family, and I want to raise my family in a good environment, and so do they. So, we're not that different. But now you have somebody that's saying, well, but I just don't want these people to have rights. And like, okay, now the fence sitter's having a harder time, I think, siding with them on certain issues.
Whoa, so, I just said the nuclear family is better. I'm not with all that.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and I hope more people pay attention to at least the issues you're bringing up, because it really seems like it can be very dangerous into the future if we have fundamentalist Christians in this country pushing for gay marriage to be repealed, and to go back in time. And all I know is if I just say to many Christians, well, I support gay marriage, I mean, they jump on me aggressively as though I am the devil. They'll even say I'm from the devil. I mean, the whole thing is insane that people think like this in 2023. And anything to fight that is a positive. So I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling in. We're gonna wrap up the show here in just a second, but I really like this discussion we've had. I hope that people in the audience were helped by this discussion. I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. All right. that was an interesting show today. It was a lot of different calls, a lot of different topics. It's always good when we get some good variety in here. But just a reminder, once again, there are plenty of ways to support Talk Heathen and the ACA. We have a few super chats to read out because now you can give super chats. So I'm going to read one from Zakean, who was one of our callers earlier. Said, I just want to thank you for the chat and everything you all do in this show. It really helps. Thank you for the super chat. I'm glad that we were able to help you. We have another one from, wow, the reading skills are rough today. Chakuseki says, should seitan be banned from our shops, sandwich shops and grocery stores? I feel like it might be the next target. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I guess the vegans are going to be a next group that they're targeting because we're eating seitan. You know, maybe it's atheist communion is eating seitan. I'm gonna do.
The weird thing is, vegans are already being attacked just because they're different. Anything that's different,
right? I'm gonna make this happen. We're gonna make the seitan vegan atheist communion. I'm gonna make that a thing.
We should start a page.
We will start it.
Just a separate channel for this. Yeah, we need it.
Thank you for the idea for the super chat. Other ways you can support if you're not able to send a super chat or become a patron, which you can become a patron at tiny.cc/patreonth. You can like the video and subscribe to the channel, and you can become a channel member. You can also chat in the comment section below. That helps us get our voices out to more people. So engage as much as you can, hit that like button, subscribe, click the bell for those notifications so you know when we're going live. You can also go to the channel that houses all of the ACA shows in podcast form and visit tiny.cc/AEN podcast. You can also go to the fan-run Facebook page at tiny.cc/FBTHG and continue the conversations about any topic that we've talked about so far. You can find other people to have these discussions with over there. And if you want to continue the discussion after the show, we will be doing an after show in the fan-run Discord. Also, make sure to check out the newest version of the ACA show, The Nonprofits, which will air live at 3 p.m. Central today at tiny.cc/YTNP. And there's one group of people that we cannot forget to talk about because while we just sit here and have a good time, there are people behind the scenes running everything, and they're way smarter than we are. And that's the crew. Let's go to the crew cam. And there's Crew Cat also. Thank you, everybody from the crew. We would not be here without you. And for everybody out in the audience, we're going to send you some love rings. To all of our viewers, whether or not you believe, if you're an essential worker, we want to thank you for all of your service and all of your time. They're spent tirelessly helping us out. Hospitals are filling up again, so stay safe out there, everybody. Wash your hands. Don't get too close to people if you don't need to. Just stay safe. If you don't believe, this is your community. We're here for you. You can feel free to, once again, email us if you've got questions or concerns. You can go to that Facebook group. We're all here for each other, here to support each other through whatever is going on. And if you do believe, we don't hate you.
We're just not convinced.
Have you ever wanted to be a host on an ACA show or be the one calling the shots behind the scenes? Are you in Austin, Texas, or at least Austin adjacent? Well, on Saturday, February 25th, make your way down to the Free Thought Library because we'll be holding open auditions for show hosts and orientations for prospective crew members. For those wanting to be hosts, you'll be able to sit in the studio where our shows are broadcast and we'll put you through your paces to see if you can be one of the new personalities of the ACA. For future crew members, you'll get hands-on experience using the equipment used for broadcast and will help us record the host auditions. If you've ever dreamed of being part of the ACA productions, then this is your chance to show us what you've got. This event is free. For more information and registration, visit tiny.cc/ACA auditions.